The decision of whether to place yourself or a loved one into residential care, either because they're getting older or being cared for at home, is tough at the best of times. But here in Bristol, residents are facing the prospect of not having that choice at all. As a social worker, Mark was used to helping vulnerable people. But with the deterioration of the cerebral palsy, he now relies on his carer Tim to communicate.
I need 24/7 care because I am unable to do anything for myself. So having people like Tim has changed my life.
Mark's round-the-clock care support is funded by Bristol City Council. How important is it for you to have your independence here in your own home?
It's absolutely vital for my own life, for my well-being, and everything else. So you can live a life like everyone else would expect to.
But Bristol City Council needs to cut costs. A new policy currently being considered could see people like Mark moved into residential homes if their at-home care is deemed too expensive.
So it's absolutely horrifying thought for me to be put into a care home. And it would go completely against my human rights and obviously affect my well-being.
People with disabilities should be supported to live as independently as possible, as long as possible, according to the 2014 Care Act. But Bristol City Council says it is obliged to deliver best value, meaning difficult decisions could be taken for all adults receiving social care. You were a social worker.
So this goes against all my principles as a social worker. That value for money would come before people's independence.
Mark's carer Tim says there are also growing pressures on those like him who work in the sector.
It is a vocation, really, rather than just a job. A lot of people who do this sort of work come from abroad, and a lot of them aren't doing that now. And it's put more pressures on, you're having to cover at the last minute, and obviously we've all got our own lives to live as well.
The whole issue of how to provide support for those in need of care is becoming increasingly challenging. And whilst it's understandable that people would want to stay in their own homes, for others, care homes are the solution. Annette's mother, Jean, moved into the Gables care home in Bristol a year ago.
She got to the stage at home where she couldn't have coped. Mum, that all her life, has said she would never go in a care home.
But if you ask her, she will say, I appreciate that I need to be in somewhere like this. And I'm happy here.
Anne Lloyd Owen manages the home and believes choice is the key.
Happy residence is what you aim to achieve, but I think if the person wants to remain at home and that is feasible, whether it's care or whether it's money, then they should be able to do that.
Dr. Jane Townsend is from the Home Care Association, which represents organisations that give care to people in their own homes. She believes Bristol's cost-cutting proposals could become even more widespread. A similar policy is already in place in Devon.
Councils everywhere are really struggling financially. I'm sure many of them are already looking at this kind of thing. They've got big inflationary pressures, so they're trying to buy care on the cheap. It's, really a terrible situation.
What's the answer?
The workforce, because without the people to deliver the care, we can't really do anything. And to strengthen the workforce, that needs quite a significant investment.
A public consultation of Bristol City Council's proposals has been extended until the end of January. The council told us this proposed policy has been developed in consultation with others, including disability groups. We will consider all the comments and feedback received before any decisions are made. The question whether people should be moved out of their own homes because local authorities can't afford to support independent living is highly contentious. And with the whole care sector facing a funding crisis, this is an issue that's not going to go away.
Gosh, he's all right.